Sat here with Thor Mining PLC. We sat with Mick Billing, Paul Johnson.
G'day Alex, how you going?
How you doing, guys? Okay?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks.
It was a good night last night at the Man and Maven show. I enjoyed that.
We had a bit of fun. I was a bit jet lagged because I only arrived in on Wednesday afternoon, and I had a couple of lagers afterwards, and I had to call it an early night by the end, but it was fun. It was good stuff.
You were lucky you escaped. I ended up going back to one of the guys' hotels to have a chat, and I escaped like 1 o'clock in the morning. I did, honestly, it was crazy. Like, it's another story.
You've got to stop going back to people's hotels, that's the thing.
I know. Men's hotels as well, mate.
Yeah.
Management changes. Is this a fresh start?
I think it's a way, Alex, of repositioning the company. We've had a pretty good technical team for a long time, and I guess if you think about what we've been doing over the last little while, we've built up a pretty good technical story, but the market hasn't come along with us, and so we haven't been able to tell the market at the right time in the right way what we're trying to do and why it's worth doing. I guess with the changes we've made in the last little while, there's a fond hope that no pressure, Paul, that he can help us. He can help us get that message across.
Paul?
Yeah, well, we've said this before, that if you look at the companies that Metal Tiger have invested in, there's got to be something there already. It's not about, just going into a completely empty shell and dramatically changing everything and so on. It's about something there already that the market hasn't respected, and that's exactly what Mick's just said. And we have some communication skills. We have an audience and awareness in the market that we're very fortunate to have. It's maybe it's a purple patch, and maybe it will ebb and flow and eventually go away. But right now, people are engaged and interested. They're asking questions about the companies we invest in. And in the case of Thor, we've seen. We have a tungsten interest ourselves in Spain, in Metal Tiger. In Thor, there are two main projects. One that's been there for quite some time and a slightly newer entrant to the portfolio of interest. And we think there's tremendous value there already, and we feel we can maybe help articulate what's there right now. And of course, there's a whole heap of opportunities out there in the wider marketplace as well, looking for homes. So our focus right now, or my focus right now, is what's there already. And I think I might have mentioned to you already that people should look at the presentation on Thor Mining's website, and should look at what's the two main projects, and look at Molly Hill and look at the potential of that project, which is the legacy project. And then look at Pilot Mountain and have a look at some of the aspirations with regard to Pilot Mountain, and they may start to see something quite significant emerge. So yeah, really not here to have dramatic change. We're here to just help and move the business forward, really.
Because we did comment earlier on about the presentation on the website.
Yes.
Page 11.
Did I mention page 11?
The last two paragraphs at the base.
Yeah.
Where everybody can see.
Yeah, I think that's the problem is when you. I think sometimes these presentations are so detailed, and they have 20, 30 pages, whatever, in them, and that's right because you want to present a professional image to the wider market. But sometimes the key information distills down to 1 or 2 lines, and it can be a little bit missed. So my job is to help. Point people in the right direction, and they can form their own conclusions. They may not be interested in tungsten, they may not like Australia or Nevada, they may not like the board of directors, they may not like anything about the company. The biggest objection will be the last 5 years and the decline in share price, but as we said before, that's happened to a myriad of companies, and if you had worked all day all night for the last 5-6 years and left your family alone and not had any holidays, you would still be down 90-95% as a resource company. That's the nature of the beast in the junior space. So it's already there. Just we need to make people aware of what the company has and its potential.
So that will bring us on to the potential of Molly Hill.
Yeah, Alex, we think Yeah, we like Molly Hill, otherwise why slave away at it?
Yeah, you were chatting about it last night. I was picking up on that. Actually.
Building a head against a brick wall for a dozen odd years doing this. But Molly Hill, we think, is shovel ready. We honestly do. We also think that there is a move up in the tungsten price in the next year or so, and we're about, of the hopefuls in the tungsten space, we're about one of the lower cost capex per unit of production and one of the lower cost operating cost entrants in that same space. So as the tungsten price does start to lift, and I think there's a lot of so-called experts saying that's going to happen, I think we're towards the front of the queue.
So you would say your positions as a company right now, you're in a good place?
I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
It's never perfect. We can always do more. It can always be better. But right now we're in a space that's not too bad.
Can you tell us about the potential of Pilot Mountain? You want to discuss that one?
Yeah, sure. Pilot Mountain's got a resource estimate of about just under 7 million tonnes at about 0.3%. Now, 0.3% sounds pretty low if you're talking about copper or nickel or something like that. In tungsten terms, for an open pit mine, that's pretty good. And that's one of the 4 known deposits there. There's another 3 that were drilled by Union Carbide in the 1970s to a very good standard that only need a little bit of follow-up drilling to twinning some holes, basically, to come up with a JORC compliant resource on those 3 deposits. If we can do that without spending a lot of money, there's a fair chance that we can turn the resource from about 7 million tonnes into 2 or 3 times that. At the back end of the one we have got a resource estimate on, the last hole that was drilled had an intersection at about 200 metres, so not shallow, of 1.8% copper over 18 odd metres, and at the same time nearly 0.9% tungsten over about 14 metres. They're enormously good grades.
Yeah, they're big figures, aren't they?
They're good figures. If it was a copper mine with those grades, you're talking 5-6% copper. We may never see those intersections like that again, but goodness gracious, we've got to have a look.
Definitely. Are you looking at any new opportunities?
Always. There's a couple we've been looking at for a little while. There's some, but at the low end of the cost scale of these new projects, there's always something not quite perfect about them, otherwise they'd cost a lot more or they'd already be going. So there's a couple there we're looking at, not in a position to talk about them too much, but we always are looking at new projects. They come across the desk all the time. Some you spend 10 minutes on, some you spend quite a bit more.
Obviously, we've been building a pipeline of new opportunities in the last couple of years. There's a tremendous availability of projects. Most of them are utter rubbish, in fairness, that we come across, but there are some nice nuggets out there, and if you have a good project and you can get sensible terms at this stage in the market, which you often can with the right negotiations, then they're worth looking at. So we're excited about the array of possibilities, where if we can introduce some of that, as it were, into a number of companies and potentially Thor, then we will try. But at the end of the day, it's important to emphasise that the existing projects that Thor has within the portfolio offer tremendous upside potential, and this is the key actually. A small amount of additional work can be undertaken, a small amount, to really push the projects up the value curve, and that's absolutely essential. The aspirational stuff of getting new things in is great to have in the background, but in this company, in Thor, there is a tremendous amount of value potential already, and maybe we can add to it in due course with additional opportunities, but it's already there. And I think that I'm as greedy as the next person, and I've not taken any cash compensation for 12 months with Thor. It's all in options. I've got, subject to shareholder approval at the forthcoming GM, I've got a package of options no cash, purely options. So for this to really work for me, and I have to keep my wife, you know, in the lifestyle to which she's become accustomed, which causes me great distress from time to time, but then we have to make a significant return from this. The share price at the moment is sat at mid 0.025 of a penny. The option value is twice that, okay, 0.05. So before you even start to make any kind of paper money, or I do, on those options, our share price has to be above 0.05. And then for it to be a realistic gain, it has to be considerably above that. And I wouldn't accept that deal, okay, unless I thought it was possible. So I'm looking to drive the share price considerably higher, because economically in the next year, that's the only way it works for me.
I remember I interviewed you about Metal Tiger, and you took options at 1.7p, and at the time Metal Tiger was below a penny.
Yeah.
I asked you the question, why did you do that?
Yeah.
And within months it had hit that target.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's a great way. It's a great way to print money if you're getting in at the right time.
Yeah.
We're at the bottom of a horrible 5-year pullback in the sector. I'm personally sat on the board of a company that's got some quite considerable interest that the market doesn't recognise. I think the upside potential is considerable. I think the company has got some very, very good leadership in place with Mick. The people don't appreciate these things because they just look at the decline over the last 5 years. So they disregard the projects, they disregard the leadership, they devalue the company in their minds, and the sharper people will be looking at these opportunities and thinking it might be time to take little positions in them. And I think across the board, the juniors of this nature will do tremendously well. The cycle has been repeated time and time again, and it will repeat this time. We don't know precisely when, you know, but I think the upside potential for investors at this stage across the sector is tremendous.
Just make the final question. Your opinion, is the resource sector improving? What would you say?
I think it is. There are green shoots out there, and we've all seen times in the market, Alex, when those green shoots just don't get any further and then they wither and die. If you're in the gold business right now, you're doing extraordinarily well. Nickel, copper, tungsten, and some of the other commodities, you can see signs there where things are starting to improve. That may not continue, but if I thought they weren't going to continue, I should get away and go do something else. I'm not going to do that. I think there's some life in this, and I think Paul's right. It might not happen in the next quarter or the one after that, but I think we are at the bottom of the cycle, and it's going to start coming good in the next little while.
By the way, gentlemen, thanks very much for taking the time to talk to us today. It's much appreciated.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
All right.